Okay. Commissioners' work session.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. A copy for you. Copy for Asha Kenney. Copy for Nancy. And the motion is no member of the Board of Commissioners for the remainder of 2013-2014 biennium, with the exception of the chairman, shall seek legal advice for which the taxpayer of the county will be financially responsible without a majority consent of the board.
If somebody does this, they pick up the cost?
Yes.
Are we discussing this now? I just want to say that.
A motion? Was that a motion?
Yes, and we need a second.
I'll second it. Go ahead for discussion. No member of the Board of Commissioners for the remainder.
Can I have my comment? Or?
Go ahead.
Okay. I oppose because I think that every commissioner is entitled, and if there are issues going on, to seek legal advice if there is something going on. So, yep.
Okay.
It's any commissioners. The taxpayers elected 3 commissioners.
Right. But the Board of Commissioners...
I think it will be abuse of authority if you have only 1 or 2 commissioners of the chairman only seeking legal advice. And also, having said that, you also mentioned one time that you don't want that employees are calling. This is also in, because I don't see it, you can make a separate motion for that. You mentioned one time that no employees or employees shouldn't just call legal counsel because they were going to pay the bill too. I just want to say, Cybertron talked with our legal counsel Bailey, so he should pick up the bill. Also, the former Commissioner Chip Alvey talked with legal counsel, and he should pick up the bill.
If you read the minute, the motion, it says the remainder of this.
Going forward, not backwards.
Yeah.
Not backwards. We tend to go backwards quite frequently here.
Yeah, that is about commissioners now, but
I
it
think
is quite obvious that we're making a motion not having the sitting commissioner if there is an issue seeking legal advice, but that we're allowing former Commissioner Alvey and Cybertron to seek legal advice and the taxpayers pay the bill. How obvious is that? It's unbelievable. I oppose with this motion because every commissioner has the right to seek legal advice.
we have a county attorney to do that, and he's free, or she's free.
He or she,
you do make a good point.
We can,
And that
for
is-
certain issues like contracts, we can read it, we can go for the attorney, because we had other people here, we had public, and it was saying, well, our county attorney is for prosecution only. It has been said. So now suddenly you want to change that rule, and now suddenly we have to go by this county attorney. How obvious again? We discussed last year that the county attorney is only for prosecution, but if it is contracts or we have a question or legal advice or certain issue legal consultation, but we have our legal counsel Bailey. So when we had Tom DeHeur, she was not good enough for that. But now suddenly we have another county attorney and she is good enough.
I think
if it is contracts, that will
when
be
are you going to
okay.
be through? Are you all done?
Well, you can ask. I'm through now.
Okay. Regarding the county attorney, why some things don't go to him because of conflict of interest. And he has, in the past, he has said that. You do make a good point that no member of the Board of Commissioners, I think we ought to make it department heads also. Why should they be given the right to call? Because it's going to add up the budget as well?
I think you should put that separate motion number 3.
Okay, we can do that.
Well, we'll make it no member of the Board of Commissioners and or department heads.
So opposed that, like I said.
County employees?
County employees. That's even better.
No member of the Board of Commissioners or
county employees.
County employees.
Domenic, has a question.
So I think that no county employees, I think that we talk about that, should just go without consent of the Board of Commissioners. But to restrict the commissioners, I'm not in favor of that.
Okay, we understand. Sheriff, you
How can we shut down all employees of the county seeking legal advice as far as if they have an issue that they need to seek a counsel for, not using the county attorney or your counsel? If they have a personnel issue themselves, want to hire their own attorney.
It says,
They
excuse
could
me,
be-
Sheriff, it says for which the county taxpayer is responsible. So if they want to call their own lawyer.
what we want to do is we want to cut down, because there's
Even though
several
each-
people that are calling, and we're getting billed for it,
Yeah.
okay? Commissioner Kenney called the attorney a week ago. Our HR person is calling the attorney for some good reasons. Now, that should come before the board in non-public as to whether it's a good reason, whether we want to pay for it or not, whether the taxpayer wants to pay for it.
I just want to have it noted, Commissioner Sorensen said Commissioner Kenney called the attorney a week ago. He's been calling attorneys nonstop. So just
It's got
because
nothing to
I
do
called
with this
one
discussion,
time,
Mr. Chairman.
I called
have a
one
motion.
time.
Okay.
Let's go forward with it. I
Yeah.
call the
Any
question.
so you
further,
called the attorney last week too.
any further questions?
I know in my budget, we have a specific line item that deals with counsel.
Yep.
So I think through the budget process, you're allowing the department heads to have that funding available for their department if they need it. So I think if the department head who is elected or otherwise, they should be able to take on that burden themselves if they need counsel and specifically use that line item for that. If it goes above and beyond, then I do feel that it is an issue that needs to go to the commission for funding purpose alone.
Yeah. I think the line item for legal in your budget and other department budgets are
Mostly for contract.
for union contracts, to hire an attorney to represent us. It comes out of your budget because it deals with your people. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion on the floor. It hasn't been amended, and it says the Board of Commissioners, and I'd like to leave it that way, and I move the question.
Okay, question's been moved. Any further discussion? I guess that we don't have a discussion of the... All those in support of the motion number 1, presented by Commissioner Babson, seconded by me. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
I post.
Okay. Then the motion is carried. Should someone who doesn't have permission from this board will pick up the expense themselves and not put it on the taxpayer's bill. All right, you got another motion.
Motion number 2, Mr. Chairman. The board directs Ms. Garry to send a letter to the law firms currently being employed or which might be employed in the future to notify them the county will not be paying legal fees for any advice being sought by any person other than the chairman of the board of...
I'll second it. Any further discussion on motion number 2?
I oppose because I think this is abuse of authority, because all the commissioners are equal. All the commissioners have a vote, have the same vote. So to give the chairman all the authority, I think it's so obvious again.
Any further discussion?
The commissioners are equal, they have equal votes.
That's true, but the majority rules. And I'm hoping, and I said this many times before, that there ought to be a team approach here rather than a divided Board of Commissioners. But that doesn't have anything to do with this motion.
Then you need to start
Motion's
by
been made
yourself,
and
Commissioner
seconded.
Sorensen.
Mr. Chairman, can I just ask a quick question? Did the department heads, such as the sheriff, use the same attorney? Like Liz Bailey, if they have a question, they
I
consult
don't
her?
know. Have you used an attorney?
I have not yet, no. I believe that council, we would go through Primex, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that would be the same one.
A point of order, Commissioner Sorensen.
Yes.
Is that-
You said if we have commissioners' work session,
Yes.
that nobody is allowed. I remember that other people want to talk, and you said, no, you cannot talk, hold your questions, and certain people you allowed to talk now nonstop.
And your point is?
You should treat the public fair. If one people can talk, they can ask all the questions, everyone should do that.
Anybody else have any
You didn't
other
allow
comments?
certain people
Go
to
ahead.
talk.
I do. How would this policy affect elected officials like the sheriff, the county attorney, the registry of deeds? I don't know.
It doesn't right now. It's just strictly commissioners.
I
The language in that.
No, I gotta change, I gotta make an amendment, Mr. Chairman.
don't think.
Other
you
than the
combine that.
chairman of the board,
Board of Commissioners?
Board of Commissioners, will that do it?
I mean, can you bind other elected officials like that?
If it pertains to the law, in the case of the sheriff's department, if it pertains to the law enforcement of his deputies, we have no control over that. Other personnel in his office, like clerical, like dispatch, we do. Okay?
Did I hear the amendment?
I haven't.
I'm
read
What
it.
did you
I'm working
amend?
on
Well,
it.
he's working on it. Let's wait until the amendment is made.
Need some help there. The idea is to make it so that the law firms understand we're talking just about the Board of Commissioners, not anybody else in the county. Send a letter to the firms currently being...
By being sought by any commissioner?
So what
Rather
motion
than
did you
person?
change?
In the future, the county will not be paying for anybody sought.
What motion are you amending?
Number 2.
Any board, any other
Commissioner,
commissioner,
rather than person?
yeah, any other commissioner other than the chairman of the board. That takes care of it, doesn't it?
I believe so.
The board directs Ms. Garry to send a letter to the law firms currently being employed or which might be employed in the future to notify them the county will not be paying legal fees for any advice being sought by any other Carroll County Commissioner other than the chairman of the board. That takes care of it. I'd like to make that amendment, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
With the way that this motion, with the, how did you with the exception of the chairman of the board, the chairman of the commissioners,
Right.
but it should continue with approval by the Board of Commissioners.
That's not what it says.
That's not,
Well, therein lies the problem. The chairman of the commissioners has no more authority than the other commissioners.
All
Thank
I'm,
you.
all-
That's
all-
what I
you
don't
need to-
understand.
It should be
he's probably right.
with
By any
the
person
Board of Commissioners
other than the chairman
approval
of the
to
board.
give the chairman the authority to contact an attorney.
has
The chairman should not have sole authority,
majority
sole
consent.
authority to do that. That
Thank
is
you.
absolutely wrong.
And I don't
He's
know
right.
if
I
they
got it
can
here.
also
Go
do
ahead.
that, restrict the
I-
commissioner not to call if they do certain issues. So I think that is wrong.
I agree with Mr. Brown. The board directs Ms. Garry to send a letter to law firms currently being employed or which might be employed in the future to notify them the county will not be paying legal fees for any advice being sought by any other Carroll County Commissioner other than the chairman of the board who has majority consent of the board.
Point of order, please.
all right, go ahead.
I believe that maybe a division would be necessary where you have individuals on the commission that would seek legal counsel or have the need for legal counsel, that should be a division between the body of commissioners on the public sense. In other words, if an individual feels they personally need legal attention, that they should be liable for that expense. And it's not a part of the body of the commissioners on a active duty sense.
If I understand you correctly, if I wanted to have legal counsel
Right.
without the approval of the board, then I would pick up the expense
Mhm.
for personal reason.
Even though you're acting as a member of the board.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. Yep. Okay. All right. We squared away now on what the motion, how about reading the motion over once more?
Okay, the board directs Ms. Garry to send a letter to law firms currently being employed or which might be employed in the future to notify them that Carroll County will not be paying legal fees for any advice being sought by any other Carroll County Commissioner other than the chairman of the board who has majority consent of the board.
Okay. Any further discussion? I would second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay.
Opposed.
So voted. We have a guest in today for Docstar. Can we move into that discussion? Anybody have a problem with that?
This is a presentation, huh?
Yeah.
From Docstar.
I have 4 more things for the work session when this gentleman is done.
Okay. Okay, very good. Kathy, you want to introduce a presenter?
Yeah, this is Mr. Harvey from Docstar.
Hi.
Hello?
And he's
Good
done
morning.
a couple of presentations.
You want to just...
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. He's got some information he's going to hand out and then talk about his program.
Is this the gentleman that sells used file cabinets, so that we convinced us that it's all in the cloud?
You won't need them
We can-
anymore.
That's right, we won't need them,
You
you
don't
can
need
sell
them.
them.
It'll save you a lot of money and pretty good stuff, I'll tell you.
Until the system breaks down, we lose everything.
No,
all
because
backed
that
up.
is stored.
It's in a
there.
cloud.
It's stored.
Just kidding, I know, I get it.
Thank you.
I'm Jay Harvey.
Dave Babson.
Hi, Dave, nice to meet you.
Dave Sorensen.
Hi, Dave, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Who else needs one?
Maybe somebody in the public.
I don't know. Anybody else need a copy?
Maybe
of-
somebody in the public wants to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mr. Hardy, I don't know how your pitch goes here, but could you start off by, and maybe you already have it, tell us a little bit about your company before you
Absolutely.
start?
You bet. Definitely. Right here. I'm Jay Harvey with PIF Technologies, and the product that we are talking about today is Docstar Document Management Systems. My company, PIF, is located in Hooksett, New Hampshire. We have been in business for just about 17 years, and all we do is this Docstar product every day, all day long, Docstar in and out. And what we're about 35 people in the company, and as I said, everybody's located in one location. And one of the big advantages of that, and kind of what we bring to the table as a value-added vendor relationship, is the relationships that we do develop with our customers. We're a pretty unique software company in that we have a very hands-on approach to our customer relationships. Whereas a lot of softwares are supported by third party, or they're supported on the online or something like that, it's incumbent on you or your IT group to support it, to implement it, and do all that stuff. We partner with you shoulder to shoulder. We will come out here when we set the system up. We actually sit with you and Kathy and the other folks here and talk with you about how you're doing things now, how you want to make sure that this operates going forward, what's going to be the most value to you and help you as far as streamlining processes and so forth. And then we customize and build your system based upon your requirements. So in a nutshell, that's a little bit about Docstar. We've been doing this, as I said, for 17 years with over 2,000 clients in New England alone. We've done a lot with all vertical markets, with government agencies, with healthcare, education, manufacturing, distribution throughout the New England states. We're authorized to go anywhere in the world, but we primarily focus on the New England region. And personally, I am from North Conway originally. I went to Kennett High School way back when. And I actually remember Gene Chandler from those days. He's a little older than I am, but not a lot.
Car broke down before you got to Massachusetts?
What was that?
I said, did your car break down before you got to Massachusetts and you could only get halfway there to set up your business rather than go all the way to Massachusetts like everybody else?
I live in Sunapee, New Hampshire now, so I'm still a New Hampshire person.
Good.
Always have been. And so that's a little bit about PIF, and please fire any questions at me if you can think of anything.
Do you know of other competing companies in New Hampshire?
Good question. As far as my competition goes,
Yeah.
there are lots and lots and lots of good software solutions out there, honestly. No one does it like we do. There's a software, you have software, you have a product, but then you have the company that creates the relationship behind it, and that's really what we bring to the table. So yes, there are other things out there, and I know that your IT consultant, John Rich, knows our product quite well. He's worked with it in other locations as well. But sometimes some of your copier companies may have some products that they develop, or not that they develop, but that they represent. But there's a lot of them out there, and a lot of times you'll have a software vendor that might have 2 or 3 different types of solutions, but they may be kind of a cookie-cutter approach to the whole thing, and they may do certain things, and they may do them very well. They may not do everything that you need done. And that's one of the unique things about our software is it's totally customized to your needs and your requirements. And when we build the system, your end users will be very familiar with it even before that they're trained, because we use your language, your processes that you use every day, and it'll be very familiar to them when they start to use it.
So what do you do? Just store documentation?
What Docstar is, think of it in terms of a centralized repository for, it's electronic file cabinet, if you will, but it does a lot more than that. It's a document management process software as well. So that you scan in existing paper information, you import electronic files and documents that you have stored on your network, and including emails and any attachments, so that everything is stored in this one location with very rapid, instant access to all your information, and it's all related information too. So that once the new piece of information goes into Docstar, it becomes a legal binding original that cannot be altered and cannot be edited. It'll hold up in any court of law. We do business with banks, with hospitals. It's very, very important to keep things safe and secure, and Docstar will do that. So that based upon the search criteria that we build into the system, you can have access. You can type in a name, an account number, however you want to identify it. We build the search criteria according to the way that you guys want it done. So you can pull up Joe Smith, and then any related information to Joe Smith would come up. It could be HR information, it could be employment information, it could be legal stuff, it could be whatever is related to that person, or it could be a vendor, or it could be any other commodity that you might be working with.
So, I don't want to call you a middleman, but you set up the systems, and Docstar is another company that stores the information?
Good question. What the deal is, Docstar as a software, we're a dealer. PIF Technologies is the top dealer for Docstar in the country. Docstar Corporate is located in Schenectady, New York. We are the original dealer for Docstar. We're the biggest Docstar dealer in the country, as I said. We also do a lot of the development for them. Our engineers, we've got a whole crew of systems engineers, and they program this stuff, they build it, they modify it, and we manipulate it to do, like I said, to meet your requirements and the needs that you guys have. So we are a vendor, we are a dealer for Docstar, and that's the only software product that we deal with. That's
And
it.
what is your function at PIF?
You mean personally?
Are you the owner or the president or the salesman or what?
I'm the sales guy.
Okay.
Okay, I'm your quarterback basically for the whole thing.
So you could take, if Kathy would have run this week's wages,
Yep.
I would imagine that those pages would be scanned and through you or somehow get to Docstar where they're stored?
Could
And
be.
if she had to call up last week's wages, she types in February, whatever it is,
Yeah.
5th, and it comes up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it comes up rapidly.
Seconds. The search criteria that we build into this is very much like a Google type of search when you're on your computer. And the more you type, the more information you get. We even have the ability to do what we call optically character read a document, which means it would scan all the information on the document, and you don't have to use any keystrokes, and it'll just file it so that you could call it up by anything on that document.
So you don't have to pass this thing through in your example, you don't have to pass it through a machine,
If it's electronic already, no. You import it directly from wherever it
okay,
is.
but obviously this you'd have to get the
If you have
material
pa-
to start with.
If you have paper on your desk and you want it in Docstar, it has to be scanned in somehow. We can use your existing copy machines that are already on your network as your front-end scanning devices. That works just fine.
What are the limitations? What are your limitations? What can't you do? Where can we get in trouble?
Where can you get in trouble?
Oh,
You won't get in trouble based upon the relationship that we have with you, actually. It's not, what I'll tell you it's not. It's not a collaborative tool where you're actually working on live documents within Docstar. That would defeat the purpose of what it does.
Say that again?
Because Docstar is a centralized repository, you've got information in Docstar. You can pull it up, you can look at it, you can annotate it, you can put notes on it. You're not changing the original, you can create it as an overlay. But you can have it be part of an approval process. Someone can put notes and an approval on it, and you're putting a layer over it, but the original stays in Docstar as a legal binding original that can't be altered or can't be edited. So that said, you can't take a Word document, bring it into Docstar, and make changes on it in Docstar, because then it's not a legal original anymore. What you can do is keep the legal original in Docstar, it's time and date stamped, send it back out to your desktop, do whatever you need to do on it, and bring it in as a revision with a new date and time stamp. So you've kept
So
the
it would
record of the
show
whole thing.
original, revision 1, revision 2,
Exactly.
and 3.
Right. Exactly.
What's the annual fee?
The annual fee, the cost of doing this, why don't we take a look and start going through the proposal? How's that?
I'm looking at it. I always look at that
Okay.
page first.
Well, if we go, the first page on the proposal is just a little bit more about us and tells you some of the highlights of Docstar. Being a turnkey solution, uneditable, unalterable originals, creates an audit trail of every document, which is part of making it a legal binding original. Database search engine, it's a lot like a Google search, as I said. And it also has a built-in disaster recovery program as well. Docstar will back itself up every single night to a secure facility off-site. And if in case of a disaster, a fire, flood, theft, anything happens, your information is brought back to you on a new server and set up within 24 hours. Executive summary tells you a little bit more about us. And a highlight on this is the fact that you can save a lot of money with Docstar based upon your current expenses. So for example, you're spending money now on copier service contracts based upon the volume of paper that's going out, the copies that you make. You're spending money on laser printer cartridges. You're spending money on fax supplies. You may or may not be spending a significant amount of money on overnight mail, things like that. But you can reduce the amount of paper, you can reduce the amount of consumptive materials that you're using in your machines by at least 30% using Docstar, sometimes more. And that goes a long ways towards paying for it. So the software page just tells you more about what it is. I don't know if this would mean anything to you guys, but it's a SQL Server database, which is a very powerful open source database. I know that it's highly endorsed by your IT consultant. This just tells you some of the things we talked about. The audit trail, annotations, which are the sticky notes and so forth that you could put on the document. Tells you a little bit more about just some of the things that it would do. Approvals, optical character recognition, as I mentioned, etc.
Maybe for Becky's, the audit trail is important for medical records.
As you know, under the HIPAA rules, Nursing homes are pushed off from 213 to 215, but we will have to keep an audit trail so that if a...
Excuse me, Beck, I didn't hear what you said.
Come on up, come on up.
You might encourage you to, because you seem to know what's going on.
Due to the HIPAA federal regulations of the right to privacy,
Right.
nursing homes were going to have to go electronic and follow audit trails starting in 213, but they've pushed that off to 215 because you have to be able at any given time, if a resident says, I want to know who's looked at my record, we have to be able to tell them everybody that's been into that record to look at and why. This would allow us to do that, to keep an audit trail so that every time somebody scans something in, saves something to the record trail, we would have an audit trail. Otherwise, we're going to have to do the old-fashioned way and put a piece of paper on every chart, and every time somebody goes into that record, they're going to have to sign that they were in that record, what they were in there for, and when.
So are you saying that whether it be this company or somebody else, that by 2014, we're going to have to have some sort of a system like
We're going to have some sort of audit trail that we can tell who's been into a medical record.
And it has to be electronic, I thought you said?
It would be much easier to be electronic.
Okay.
If not, somebody's going to have to sign
be.
a piece of paper every time they access that record, and that means LNAs, that means registered nurses, doctors, dietitians, anybody who goes into that record.
Do you have any estimate how much time this would save you, whether it's Mr. Harvey or somebody else's company?
That would save a lot of time, especially in our medical records department, because as you know, we're purchasing 3 more fireproof safes this year at $800 a piece, and that's $2,400, and they're only going to keep being required to be purchased. We purchased 2 last year. They purchased 2 the year before at that tune, so it would decrease where we're saving stuff over in the building now under lock and key and fireproof safes considerably.
How about past records? I understand we're saving some of these past records in one of those trailers.
I thought they're not in the trailer. I don't know that they're in the
That's
trailer.
what Bob said.
I believe that most of them have been moved to the nursing home. We have to keep a record. Usually you keep a record, at least I think Renee's keeping them right near now 3 years after death in case something comes up. Every place else for records, I mean, some of our residents have been there for years, so we can't keep their entire record on the floor because it's 3 and 4 feet deep.
Yeah.
You have to keep them at least 7 years beyond the age of majority before you can take anything away. This would put the entire record electronically, and we could draw back anything we needed at any given time.
Exactly. One of the things, I'm glad Becky brought that up, and the file cabinet thing you brought up earlier actually is a good point too. Docstar can help you manage all that information from a time standpoint. One of the things it can do is help you build a retention strategy for all the information here within the county, especially at your location.
Excuse
so
me,
that,
Mr. Harvey, what do you mean by retention, whatever you just called it?
End of life of the information. So that if you have a patient record, in Becky's case, as soon as you start to bring it into Docstar, one of the prompts that it would give you, or one of the asks it would ask you to put in for information would be, how long do you need to keep this information? You could put a date in or a time range. Docstar will keep track of that, and you now have a way to go back and look for that specific information within that time frame of all the documents that may need to be destroyed or kept longer. But it helps you manage that process. You're not wondering, you're not going back and looking, spending an ungodly amount of time looking for information. You have it like that.
And
you don't have to put, I'm sorry, you won't have to store it off-site, you won't have to store it in file cabinets anywhere, and it would really help you in that respect.
Just the paper alone that we would be getting, the fire hazard we'd be getting rid of, the fireproof cabinets at, you know, $800. Right now they're $800 to $900. They could go, each year they're going to go higher and higher, and we need at least 2 or 3 a year because of the longevity of the residents there.
How is this going to integrate into your system, Becky, if you've got half of it in manila folders and now you hire a Docstar type company and you have to look something up? Isn't somebody going to have to chase and see if it's in the manila folder?
No, what we'd have to do is systematically take each individual resident and scan in their old portion of the records that's being stored off and add our new. But the niceness of this is we can add new as we're doing it and take time to go into what we've got.
You don't want to attack 40 years of information. It needs to be a systematic approach to that. And we generally recommend a two-pronged approach to doing this, kind of drawing a line in the sand and going forward electronically. Initially, what that lets you do is it stops the process of going backwards at that point. You still have all that old information, but we'll help you develop a strategy, whether you want to tackle it by patient as you need the information, maybe by quarter, maybe by a year at a time, rather than, it's a very daunting task to go after all of it at once. It's a huge amount of manpower. But we can help you with developing, as I said, a strategy to go back and figure out how you want to gain that information, and maybe just as you need it. And then eventually you'll be able to get rid of all the old stuff, and you won't be having to add more file cabinets, more fireproof file cabinets, or being concerned with that. So it can be a time-lapse process. Good example of how that can help you with expense on the file cabinet, I'll just give you a real-life example. There's a company in Vermont, I hope it's okay to use that state, but they're called Aris Solutions, and they do medical billing for nonprofit organizations throughout the state of Vermont. They got a Docstar system, and one of the things that really lit up for them was they've been spending $5,000 and $6,000 a year on file cabinets. They've also been putting those file cabinets in a lot of space. They needed more space for more office. They were going to have to lease office space in another part of town. What they're able to do with Docstar is clear that area out, and they gain back office space. So they save money on cabinets and save money on space.
The other advantage to this is because we're a small county, there are many people that do jobs here that if they were out for a considerable length of time, we might be having to make some telephone calls to find out where the information is. Not that they try and hold it. I mean, just like Kathy, if she's out, who would know where to find 3 weeks ago's payroll check unless you start piling through file cabinets? At least electronically filing, anybody that's been given permission can go in there and type in, find me payroll, and it would bring up every payroll document, then it's whatever date I'm looking for. So it also increases the availability of, if something happens that somebody's out, someone else can immediately step in and know where that stuff is rather than what we're doing now.
Which leads me to the license fee. How many licenses are we going to need at $700 a license?
Well,
if she's talking about other people,
Yep.
that everybody that contacts Docstar has to have a license?
First of all, let me set it up. Let me kind of set the stage a little bit. The Docstar software would reside here. It resides on your server. So it's not. This is not. We can do a cloud-based solution, but most places, the larger the organization, the less likely they are to want to do that. They want their stuff here. They want to be able to put their arms around it, and we get that. So your system would be installed on your server here, first and foremost. So then, as far as the licenses go,
Jay, right there.
Yeah.
Doesn't that put more liability on our security?
No.
The fact that it's here and not somewhere else?
And if our system goes down?
Pardon me?
And if our system goes down?
If your system goes down, or if that server, Docstar can reside on your server, or we can put it on a separate Docstar server here, still on your network. Either way you want it to go.
That's not being a
No, it's not answering your question.
high-tech person. That's what I was asking, what I meant by the liability. You will have either a server here or some backup mechanism
Yes.
so that even though you're here, we're not stuck.
Exactly. You'll never be stuck because it does. Docstar resides here, but it's also backed up every single night to what's called an SAS 70 facility. It's located in North Andover, Mass, and it's backed up again to a place in Philadelphia. It's a backup facility that meets a stringent set of government guidelines, federal government guidelines. Berkshire Bank uses it, Mass Department of Treasury uses it, Children's Hospital uses it. Most of our customers utilize that. And that's part of Docstar. Every single night it'll back up to that facility. And it's all included in the first year, and it's optional after that. It's like $750 a year if you want to continue that. It's a very inexpensive insurance policy.
Was that a very subtle name-dropping of customers of yours?
Not subtle at all. I'm very bold about that. I'll drop names anywhere I can.
What bank?
That would happen to be Berkshire Bank. They're one of our larger banks.
Berkshire Bank, Children's Hospital, and what was
Children's
the other?
Hospital, Mass Department of Treasury. And there were a number of references, actually. We have quite a few local ones, too. Belknap County Government. Del Gilbert in Laconia, a lot of people know that company. They've been a customer for quite a while. Merrimack County Jail. Normanton, Cheney, and O'Neill are lawyers in Laconia that your IT people are very familiar with as well. Scotia Technology, some of you folks know those guys. And Tightflex Corporation is one of our newer companies, and they're a large company in Laconia.
How long has Belknap County been with you?
They're not my customer. I want to say Belknap's probably 3-4 years maybe. Not a long-term customer, but...
You said Merrimack Jail.
Yep.
Why not the rest of the county?
There may be just that one application that they wanted for them. I'm not sure. That wasn't part of my deal. I didn't do that. But sometimes we go, for example, we may go into a major corporation, sometimes a big manufacturer, but we may only be, Sturm Ruger Company is a good example, the gun folks over in Newport. Huge billion-dollar corporation, already have multi-million-dollar Oracle software setup. They liked what we did with documentation better than what Oracle could provide, and we're only in their IT department. That's the only place they wanted us for now. Then it's going to grow into AP and HR as it goes forward, but that's the only place they wanted it. Once you have the base system, it's really, that's all you need. And as far as your licenses go, to get back to that question, these are concurrent licenses. You don't need a license per seat, which is a pretty familiar way of doing it. Seat licenses, seat, S-E-A-T.
Per seat, okay.
Per seat, per computer, per workstation. Okay. Most softwares require a license for every workstation.
Right.
We use shared licenses called concurrent licenses, which means you don't need a license for every one. They're shared, so usually it means that the ratio is anywhere from 3 to 5 to 8 people per license, depending upon how you're going to use it. So what that means is that, I think what we decided here initially was that you needed 4. 4 would probably cover easily anywhere between 12 and probably 25 or 30 people to start with. And what it means is that if you had 4 concurrent licenses, that technically means 4 people could be in Docstar looking at exactly the same document at the same time, wherever they are. You don't need a lot of concurrent licenses because you're in and out of Docstar quickly. You're not, like I said, you don't work on the information in Docstar. You retrieve it, you might pull it back even out to your desktop or do whatever you're going to do, but you're not in Docstar that long. You leave it up on your desktop, you can see it, but you're not using the software until you're actually in it. And you're in and out very quickly.
So you're going to pay your concurrent license, and you're going to continue to pay Microsoft's licensing fee for whatever you're using, Office 7 or 8 or whatever.
Well, Microsoft wouldn't have nothing to do with us. That may be an expense.
Well, I mean, I'm saying we are
Once you buy Microsoft,
we are going to continue to pay for those licenses. We may not pay you, but we're going to pay somebody for Microsoft Office and whatever other program that we have. Is that not correct?
I'm sure that's correct. Typically, I think in your case, you probably buy Microsoft once, and then when they come out with a new platform, you have to buy it again, I think. And that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up. With our stuff, we update the software, a couple of updates a year. It's all included in the maintenance and support. And if we have what you call a platform change, like when Microsoft goes from version 3 to version 4, you have to buy it again. We don't do that. When we have a platform change, it's still all included in everything that you're doing. It's not a major expense to do that.
What you just say, maintenance and support, is that an additional charge over the original installation and a monthly payment, or is maintenance and support the monthly payment?
Great question. The way that it works is that you either buy or lease Docstar. You either buy it outright or lease it. Either way you own it, because when you lease it, it's a $1 capital lease, so you own it for $1 at the end of the lease term, which is typically 60 months. It also, and so you're leasing the software, and it all includes delivery, setup, implementation, training, and everything's all included in that. It also includes the first year of maintenance and support, which is all the updates and unlimited support from us, either coming out here when you need us, or telephone support, or remoting in via the network to help you that way.
I can rent you a room if you want to. You'd be here that much probably from our past
I don't expect
history.
to be honest with you, I get you. Probably not. We probably won't be here that much. It's a very easy system to use.
And when we...
I'm a sales guy and you expect me to say that, but it truly is. And we take care of that relationship That's why it's so important that we partner with you. We make sure you use it, because software is a waste of money if people aren't using it day in and day out constantly. And we'll make sure you do.
So you can either lease or own, you said?
Yep.
If we own, are we just buying software or are we buying hardware?
The way that this is set up, you're just buying software, because we're going to use your hardware that you've already got. We can use your copiers for the scanning portion. We can use your server. You've got more than one server. We can use a server, whatever your IT folks feel is the right one to use, and we can put Docstar on that. It doesn't use up a great deal of memory, believe it or not.
So it doesn't have any of its own hardware, it's strictly...
It can. We can make it a turnkey solution completely independent. We can provide servers, we can provide scanners, all that stuff, so it could be set up alongside your system if you want.
What would be the advantage of that versus using our own equipment?
Somebody can hack, well, we was told this morning that somebody has hacked into our system, or is this something that can be done? Can it hack into our system and get the information?
No, absolutely not. No, we can't. I thought you were going down the road as can any system be hacked in from the outside? Of course, government stuff is hacked into.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but no, Docstar would have no infringement upon your existing.
Even though it's on our system?
Wouldn't make any difference. We can't see it. Can't see a thing. We don't monitor that.
Okay.
Do you do any work? The sheriff is here, and historically really had a stone wall between the sheriff's department and the rest of the complex when it comes to IT, and that's sort of been broken down a little bit in the last year and a half.
Right.
Is there any problem integrating medical records and law enforcement? He's got his hand up.
Go ahead.
Well,
We already do this.
You what?
We already do this system.
With Docstar?
Not with them. We have our own that it's been in place for a few years that was developed in-house. So I think we're ahead of your curve.
what are you guys
We
using?
use a copy machine. It's all put in PDF form, searchable by any word in the form itself.
Right. Okay. That's different than what we're doing.
It's not the same exact, but
because what you're doing there, you're scanning to a PDF, and that's a great way to get started, and it's going to a file folder on your server somewhere. The thing that's very different there is that, and I won't say that because I don't really know, that may not be a legal binding original in a court of law, technically, because it's not measuring the pixels of the document. There's a whole systematic approach to what Docstar does to create a legal binding original that can't be altered or edited. A PDF can be altered or edited, and you could do something with it within that. It's a great place to start. Docstar could actually enhance what you're doing, probably, too.
But we also
But at least you're on board.
keep our hard copies for anywhere from 3 to 10 years. So we have been going back and shredding over the years that are over and no good.
Yeah, technically, you don't have to keep anything. The only thing that you have to keep, as far as paper goes, is any kind of document that has a raised seal. That's the only thing you have to keep legally.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that the PDF can be altered because from my risk management, for my other job, we were not allowed to use that in courts of law. You had to go back to the original paper. But as long as it's certified pixels and timestamped, that has now been approved by many legal federal governments that will now be accepted as a legal document. Right. So you wouldn't have to keep the paper. We would get rid of a lot of file cabinets because everything that we've kept so far, we would be able to have a legal binding copy of.
So what are we talking about on a cost basis, on an annual basis? You can buy the system outright. That's
you
a
can buy it
one-time
outright,
deal.
and then beyond that, once you've done that, okay, if you flip over to the next page where it says support, maintenance, and backup, first year, annual support, software upgrades, everything's included at no charge. And years 2 and beyond, you get charged at an 18% rate, 18% of the original purchase price. So 18% of $25,000 is roughly $3,700 or $800 a year in maintenance and support. We can break that apart. There may come a time when you don't need all of that. You may only want the updates. You may not need the support. You may, because your IT guys can help out. You may just call us once in a while. that kind of thing, because it really runs very smoothly. And if that's the case, we can break it apart, and so you don't pay for that whole piece. There's a lot of things we can do. I mean, this is our company. We manufacture all of this, these relationships. So we can change. This is very customizable as well. Same thing with the backup. It's free in the first year. It's $695 a year. I said $750. It's $695 for years 2 and beyond. And as I said, it's a terrific insurance policy for that cost. It's not a monthly cost. That's an annual cost.
Is that fixed?
Hmm?
Is that fixed at $695?
Yep, we'll fix that. Yep.
I mean, you know, it won't
It won't go up. No. No, it's fixed.
I have a question.
Yep.
What's the public's protection, especially with private documents, against government monitoring? Because they're doing it to our phones and our emails.
Right.
Is there any protection against that?
It would be protection that you would have here within the county complex to begin with. It would just be encompassing over our product as well, over
But
Docstar.
you are aware that the government does this without warrants, right?
I'm not part of that, obviously.
So the information's out there.
I hear that too. Yeah.
And certainly, I'm sure it's a concern to the general public that, you know, their information
Of course.
is safe.
And within Docstar, it's
Does this system come approved by the Obama administration? I mean, really, you know?
I don't have that one, but
But that's certainly a thought.
it's a good thought. It's a very good thought. But I would tell you that it is.
Because I wouldn't want it if that's the case.
It's ITAR compliant. If you're familiar with ITAR, that is a high-level government clearance for defense contractors. This meets their requirements.
Understood. But anything federal?
Quite honestly, there's nothing that's 100% safe from being hacked into. I don't care who makes it. It can be done, I mean, and people do it all, working on it all the time. It's as safe as anything can be. And as I had said, we have a lot of high-level customers using this where the security levels are very critically important. Like I said, medical records at Children's Hospital.
Well, personally, myself, I have nothing to hide.
Mhm.
I'd like to throw my cell phone away and my computer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, electronic things are good. On the good side, you know, we can praise it all day long,
Mm-hmm.
but seldom do we talk about, you know, the bad side effects of electronics today. That's my point.
No, well taken.
Ed, you're an IT person. Feel free to ask questions if you have some.
Okay, well,
You do.
I mean, the fact, well, yeah, of course, I always have something to say. I mean, the fact that you're gonna save huge amounts of paper. I mean, when Kathy comes in here with the budget, there's this much paper she's dragging around, and this could all be solved that way. So you have a savings there. Of course, there's always a security problem. And with the Patriot Act, they're gonna get into the files if they want to, so we have to change the Patriot Act to protect that. But it's a big savings, and it's good for backup, and you have opportunities to back everything up in several locations, and overall, it's a good thing to, and it's not that expensive if you counter it to how much money you're spending now.
Right.
Now, what you should have brought in is how much money you're spending on paper and the labor to do it, and compare that with the amount of money that the.
Well, would we save on labor?
You could. Well, actually, we do have that. We have the ROI that Kathy's got.
Yeah.
I've got an ROI spreadsheet that we've done.
Cool.
And it basically what it does is that you spend so much money, X amount of dollars, X amount of time your people spend looking for things.
Yeah, looking is.
Hopefully it's in the right place. It's even more money if they can't find it. I've got a lot of statistics, a lot of information about what it costs to look for a document, what it costs to recreate one when you can't find it. But you pay them so much money every month. Let me see if I've
I
got
was gonna say, I have it downstairs.
I might have brought one. I don't know if I did or not. Let me see.
I mean, space-wise, the file cabinets, time, I mean, when something is put in there, you want to do a search on whatever, copy paper, and it'll pull up like all the invoices for that had a copy paper in it. You know, you can,
This would save on accounts receivable? Any of that?
Well, yeah, actually, if you reduce the amount of time that it takes you to, in your accounts receivable cycle, what does 1 day save time mean in terms of money? It could be significant, and you can save enough money to do that. I can't tell you exactly how many days you're going to spend, you're going to save, but those are all parts of a return on investment spreadsheet that actually Kathy's got. So we plug in the amount of time you spend looking for stuff. we plug in what you're spending for your copier contract, which is about a penny a copy, plus or minus. You're probably doing, just in this area here, a couple of departments here, you're probably doing 10 or 15,000 impressions a month. That's probably costing you a penny. That's $150 a month. You're going to save a third of that anyway doing this. So, I mean, it adds up. File folders, less file cabinets, less all that stuff.
If you look, my file cabinets, 3 of them at $800 is $24,000.
Yeah.
You know, and we're buying them,
Okay.
plus all the other file cabinets in the building.
Yeah,
I mean,
our
that-
cabinets, our file folders, our copy paper.
I wanted to ask you a question. Ed, you made the comment, think about Kathy saving money with a budget. Am I missing something? Why wouldn't we still have to print the budget to give to the delegation unless we gave the delegation all a laptop to sit here and look at it? Where is the savings if we're still going to have to print it out? Anyway, I can see a savings out all over the place on paper, but in your instance, why would we save any money?
Well, maybe if I can jump in for a sec.
Well, I was saying that just the delegation, they could get it in electronic form. I mean, you have an iPad, everybody else could download it and not have to use paper. I mean, that's
okay.
it. So if there's a few that...
I would agree with that.
Right. The other thing is, what about emails? Does this cover email also?
Yes. You can import existing emails and their attachments, and they will reside in Docstar, and it can really help clean up your Exchange server. You IT guys usually really like this kind of capability, and it keeps, again, everything in one centralized repository. Type in XYZ, and you'll get HR information, you'll get medical information, you'll get payroll information on that individual or whatever it is. You'll get email correspondence, and any attachments are all in one place. So you can actually, good point too, because your emails are probably the least secure of just about anything on your network.
Now, if I have a 91A request put into the commissioners to get someone's email from such a date to such a date, that could also help in that.
Definitely. You can type in a date range and get all the emails for that. Yeah, you could just simply, as part of your search criteria, you could type in the date range and say emails, or whatever the emails were pertinent to. It'll just pull those up in Docstar. You'll have those in seconds.
Another savings, how much time do you spend when you get a 91A request trying to find the information? You could find it in seconds. So it's good, and it's good for transparency too. That way there's no question of where the emails are. My last comment is, who would have access, and can files be deleted?
Good question. Two-pronged. First of all, access based upon user permissions. We work with Active Directory. We can build in user permissions at the document level and at the end user level. So based upon what you have permissions that your administration sets for you guys, you control it. You may have permission to view only the information. You may have permission to file it and view it. You may have permission to only file it and not view it. You may have permission to view it with only the annotations and overlays that have been put on it, but not the original underneath it. You also have the ability from Docstar, once you've pulled it up, made annotations and comments, you can email it, fax it, print it right from Docstar as a PDF. The original stays in Docstar, never moves, but you can send a copy of it right from Docstar so that you've got it up, you're talking to somebody on the phone, just a second, boom, 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 okay, pop, should be in your email right now. That fast.
So they cannot be deleted.
The deletion part, if you have permission to delete, you can. You rarely give that out. And as an administrator, it takes 2 people to finally delete a document anyway. So once it's in once the user's deleted it, if they have permission to delete it, a couple things happen. It goes into the administrative file, and the administrator then can have the ability to delete it. What they can't delete is the audit trail. So there's always an audit trail for every piece of information that shows when it was scanned, who touched it, what they did, and when. And that's part of
on
making
every
it a
single
legal
piece
original.
of paper.
Say what?
On every single piece
You
of
bet.
paper.
And it audit trails it every time that's been accessed.
Every time it's been
so-
accessed, date and time, and who touched it.
So what about computer hard drives that has information on it that has not been put on the system, can hard drive information be put on?
Do you mean existing
or
electronic
backed up?
files?
Correct.
Yeah, you import them. And it'll import over 250 file formats. So basically anything you've got, it'll bring it in an electronic format into Docstar, and then it becomes a legal binding original.
So any hard drives that are being stored right now and are going to be wiped, you could back it up, and it could be available to the public forever under 91A request?
Absolutely, you could, because you can also, yeah, you do it through a web portal, and you can have them have access to it. And that's something we'd set up with the county. Absolutely.
Well, I'm liking what I'm hearing. Thank you.
And there's no, the price of this thing, is it based on volume?
No. The thing that's based on volume, that would change it, would be if you, right now, we've got the licenses, and as you can see now, that's a fairly small expense. We can add a license remotely in about 30 seconds. And that would, again, service anywhere between 3, 4, 5, maybe even 8 or 10 people, depending on who it is and what they need to do.
Excuse me right there, Jay.
Yeah.
Do they have to be in the same location?
No.
I mean, do they
No.
all have to be at the nursing
No.
home, or do they all have to be at the administration
No.
building?
They're just
Okay.
licenses that can be available on the network. Wherever the network is, that's where the
Okay.
license is available.
Go ahead, finish your story. I just
Oh,
wanted to know.
no, you're making me make it better, so that's good. So the licenses, we know we can add very quickly. They're like $700 a piece, and that's the part that expands. You know, we might start with 4 licenses, and then it may be that all of a sudden now we're going to have 100 employees that we want to have access to this. You're going to need more licenses. How many? Depends on how they're going to use it. We might only add 5 or 10 at a time.
This
And
is
then
an annual
go that
fee.
way. No, that's a one-time
One-time
fee.
deal.
You own it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no, the only thing that's a recurring fee is the maintenance and support contract. Nothing of the system itself is recurring.
You had.
If I'm not mistaken, all your stuff could be put on this as well, so that all the commissioners' minutes, all the
Yeah,
subcommittee minutes,
absolutely.
everything can go right into this, so that there's no wondering 8 years from now what meeting took place when or what was there. You can actually do all your own minutes and stuff the same way.
Yep.
You could send your minutes out ahead of time in a format to each other, put your annotations on,
Yep.
send them back to your secretary. By the time you come back, those minutes are all set. You're ready to sign off on them because you've already read everybody's comments into those minutes, and they'd be all set for your next meeting to type out.
So how long a document's kept?
As long as you want. Because, again, maybe we can help you with a retention strategy. That's what that's all about. You just type in how long you want to keep it. It could be a user prompt. Part of what we do is build naming conventions that are consistent, helping you to file the information the same way, consistently, so that everybody's on the same page as to how this stuff gets scanned and then retrieved. So you could have we can build this any way you want, but we could have a prompt that says, how long do you keep this information? What's the end date for this? So if it's 5 years for financial or whatever it is, or you know, you can't really do 3 years after somebody's gone from a patient record. You're just going to have to monitor that one. But you could have you could say, I want to keep it until December 31st, 2025. And then you'll have that entered that way. You can search that way. Docstar can even actually automatically report that back to you at that time frame to say, you've got this information you need to look at. What do you want to do? You want to get rid of it, or do you want to hang on to it?
But it doesn't delete it automatically. It
Oh,
brings
no.
it up to someone who 2 people have to sign off on and
Right.
say delete. So even in medical records, we could say a file that has not been accessed in 2 years, please bring that forward, and it would bring it forward for us. We'd see who hadn't been accessed in 2 years, and at that point we'd say, do we delete it out? If so, then we send it to the next level where the 2
Yep.
people are required to delete the
Right.
information.
We can build as many layers into that process as you want.
Melissa, you had a question, I think?
No.
No? Go ahead.
They answered it, thank you.
Jay,
Yes, sir.
I'm the new one here, and I'm just learning the setup, but one of the things that appears to me to be a big backlog for us here at the county is paying bills.
Mm-hmm.
How, or, you know, or in what way would your system help with bill pay?
Would you say you have a problem paying bills? What are you referring to? Getting them out in a timely fashion to get discounts and
Well,
stuff?
as I see it, the bill comes in from the vendor,
Yep.
and then it's tied up with some purchase order or receiving order or whatever they get. And somewhere along the line, we cut a check
Mm-hmm.
that we all sign,
Mm-hmm.
and then all this material has to be filed away,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it's piles of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How would you help us?
Couple of ways. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. Obviously, when that type of a process happens, none of that paper doesn't all come in at the same time, right? It comes in different times. First you get the invoice, then you get whatever it is. What you can do is, as you get that information, you can enter it into Docstar. It's all going to have a common denominator, so we probably are going to help you build a filing strategy for that with an invoice number, a purchase order number, something that's germane to all of the documentation, and the vendor, of course, as well. So what happens is, as you put all that stuff in Docstar, it's all there. It's you can pull up.
Excuse me again, Jim.
Go ahead.
When you continue to say put it in, are we scanning every single one of these pieces of paper?
Yes.
Okay.
If you need it, and I'm assuming you would need it if it's part of the process, but you can scan it and get rid
But
of it.
my point is that is a physical activity that somebody has to do.
Right, unless of course any of that information is received electronically.
Okay.
Then you don't have to print it.
Right.
You can print it technically right from your computer to Docstar. It will see Docstar as a printer, and it'll go right into Docstar, and you can file it right there.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Well, you haven't
Finished it.
helped us.
Okay.
I was just interrupting to find out how we were going to get that initial.
If you have
said
a piece
the
of-
paper were coming in and we had to scan it. Now.
If it's paper, it has to get in there somehow. You've got to scan it somehow. If it's not paper, it can be imported electronically without printing anything.
Right.
So once that information's in Docstar, all you have to do to get the whole package pulled up is type in the PO number, if that's what one of the filing criteria is, and then all the related documents will come up at once, and they'll show up in Docstar, and you can curse through them, look at them all at once, however you want to see them. So it will save you a tremendous amount of time looking for pieces of information to put together to your package. You won't have, and when it's done and you've paid the bill, you import the check, that goes into it, a copy of the check can go into Docstar with the same PO on it, so it's all related, and you don't have to then worry about scanning the information in, because it's already done. You did it throughout the process.
Okay.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
What if you had a document that wasn't a document that you really initially wanted to put into the system and save, and later you wanted to go back and say, we shouldn't put that in there, it shouldn't be there?
Okay.
What happens to the paper trail at that point?
Paper trail will still stay, the audit trail remains. And technically, you'd want it to, because you need to have legal
The
compliance. You want a record of what has been done in that system,
Excellent.
so you can't screw around with it.
I didn't mean to be so negative earlier, but
You're not.
I always question.
Very valid questions. No, that's what this is all about. This is a very safe, secure system.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for your input.
Anybody else?
I have another question.
Go ahead. I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I guess I'm known for asking questions.
That's how you.
Anyway, can you provide us with the names of the counties, or what portion of the county you do business with here in the state?
Actually,
You just happen to have that ready?
I have some of it. I've got a kind of a reference list.
Can we have this?
Okay. These are government, and these are fairly local references for the most part. Did I? You know that too, right?
Yeah.
In the case of Belknap County, this is just a contact person.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
So we don't know how many licenses they have. or
I could
anything.
get all of that, for anything you want to know, I can certainly get for you. I don't really know.
Okay.
I'm only interested in the name of someone to talk to about.
Hmm?
I'm only interested in the name of someone to talk to about
Okay.
at the different counties.
Well,
how
that's
it's
it.
working.
Contact. You know Ron White, Merrimack County Jail.
Yep.
I just don't recommend, I don't remember that name from Belknap County.
Hopefully she's still there. I pulled this up out of our records.
Then the other one, Rockingham County Nursing Home. I'm wondering why there's certain, looks like Belknap County's got everything in it.
I think they have a lot of stuff, yeah.
But Merrimack County is just the jail. Rockingham County is just the nursing home.
Yep. It may be that they're doing something else, or they're not doing it at all, or that's the only place they want to do it. But any of those places that have a Docstar system now, they easily can just move that right out to the other departments.
Yeah.
They've already got it. They've already bought it. The county's already bought it.
Okay.
They may need more licenses, or there may be some other capabilities they want it to do, but that's all, the core system is already there.
What I think is going to happen is when the county delegation does their performance audit, they're going to be very much interested in this kind of a system because it will improve our record keeping.
You know what, and I'm glad you brought that up too. A lot of our customers have told us one of the things they use it for, and they showed this to us. You can actually create a folder in Docstar that says audit. It can say whatever you want on it. And when the auditors say, this is the information we want for this audit, rather than having stuff all over this room, you can actually pick the documents out of Docstar, move them into that folder, and give your auditor access to Docstar and only that folder. They technically can do a remote audit, and auditors love it. That's what they're telling us.
That would save us some money right there, wouldn't it? They wouldn't be here for a week.
That's up to them. I mean, I can't say what they would do, but the potential's there for that. And then you've actually controlled the audit process. They're not looking over your shoulder saying, this is great, what's in that file cabinet? Show me this stuff. Where's this? If they ask you for it, you can just go boom, 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 pick it out, put it in there, and give them exactly what they want.
I just like the fact that, you know, oftentimes you'll ask for, like, oh, what was done back in 5 years ago, and
Will they go back that far?
no, not the auditors. I'm
Oh,
saying
okay.
in general. Someone asked me something about the jail that happened, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and then you got to, okay, so when did that happen? What minutes should I start looking in? All we have to do is put whatever.
Put the date.
Put the name, what we're looking for, jail, construction of whatever, or, you know, tearing down jail. You know, it's do a search and it brings up.
And you can do lots of different types of searches. You can search by text, by words. We can also build in customized fields, which means that if you have a certain thing within a document or a profile that you're looking for, we can use your information and make that a search criteria. So it might be it could be commissioners' minutes, could be a search criteria that's already built into the system. You don't have to add it every time.
Right, or policies.
Or policies, yeah.
You know, a certain policy on uniforms or something, and just do a search of the minutes, and anytime there was a discussion.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was wondering about the storage room, the record storage room, and I don't know, maybe I missed that part of the conversation, but are you talking about uploading all that to the system as well? Kathy was talking about going back in time, and as Matt, like 2 weeks ago, I came here and her and I went on a journey through yesterday, and would we go back 8-10 years, and we were all in that room and climbing over boxes, and she was pulling out file cabinet, you know, just trying to help find the information, and then she had to go to the annual reports and find things in there, and then she went to minutes, and there was a big box of stuff that I was going through. Related to one topic, but if it was in Docstar, so you could just type in some search terms of what I'm looking, or anyone's looking for.
Yep.
And that, I mean, that took quite a bit of her time to put that right to know request together, so that would definitely save. I was wondering about larger documents.
Do you mean larger
like
volume or size?
No, like maps or
Yeah.
like, you know, larger printouts, because there's a lot of plans here, like the jail, the nursing home.
Yep, exactly,
When
sure.
it was being
Wide
constructed.
format stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that you can get into an electronic format can come into Docstar. So if you've got existing maps and they're huge, and you have a wide format scanning device, you can put that into Docstar. Or what we also are happy to do is we'll take a look at that as a side project, And we'll take those and we'll download them, we'll scan them ourselves and download them to a thumb drive or something, and then we'll put them into your system and file them for you.
Thank you.
And that's not an issue because of the registry.
Yeah.
They've done that for us. The large documents, they scan them and, you know.
Yeah.
And same thing, when we were talking, when we had this presentation at our IT committee meeting, the one thing the registry was concerned about is some of their storage areas are not, the humidity is not controlled, the dampness isn't controlled,
Right.
and as things age, they had some water a couple of years ago, they said, in the spring, so that all these documents would be protected back to the 1800s if they had to, if they were scanned in versus trying to hold them in paper.
But isn't theirs at some mountain?
Yeah,
Being,
yeah.
Iron Mountain.
Iron Mountain, that's
Mhm.
right.
That's what it's called. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a good thing. That's paying for off-site storage. You don't have to do that. Docstar can actually alleviate that. I'll give you a good example of that one. Visiting Nurse and Hospice of Vermont and New Hampshire is located in West Lebanon, New Hampshire. Big customer of ours, one of mine. I did that one. And one of the big things and the concerns they had was they have, I can't even tell you how much money they spend a month with Iron Mountain. It's an ungodly, it's in the thousands of dollars. And because with something like that, you pay for square footage storage with an Iron Mountain or anybody else that does it like that. You also pay every time you ask for access to pull information, and you pay to put it back every single time. So what VNA was able to do is, rather than going back and getting 35 years of volume, they just drew that line in the sand. And everything from day one, now within 5 years of the stuff they have to keep for 5 years, which is not everything, but a lot of stuff, that's gone. So they're chopping off a big amount of money every month for the next 5 to probably 7 or 8 years.
So they're lobbing off a year every...
That's how they're doing it, with all the information they've got in the back, on the back end. That's one way of doing it. It's an easy way of doing it, actually.
Is there anything the system doesn't do?
Yeah, lots of stuff. I mean, it does make coffee, although it can remind you of things. It can send you reminders of things. It'll do that for you. But it really, you know, it doesn't collaborate from the standpoint that, as I said, you can't change a document that's in Docstar. But if you could, then it wouldn't be legal. So we can't, that's not part of what we do. But that's something it does not do. There are softwares out there that will even do that, but then they're not legally compliant anymore. They're also $80,000 to $100,000 for a lot of that stuff.
Anybody else got any questions? Comments?
Yes, sir.
How is this different than the system we talked about at the nursing home a few months ago? I mean, wasn't that cloud storage? Doesn't that do some of the same things?
You mean Chronos?
No.
No.
No,
No, when the server went down.
Remember the reader, how they record their minutes and it broke and they had and then they went out to
Barracuda.
Barracuda, that's it.
That's the internet side. That has nothing to do with our medical records at all. That's only the Outlook and stuff like that and the internet. Barracuda prevents...
Barracuda is, I think, the backup storage.
Right. They back up the stuff that's on the server now, like policies and stuff that we have, but there's no medical records or anything because the server would never be big enough to handle that.
So this wouldn't be a duplication of that system?
No.
But if we have Docstar, we don't have to go with Barracuda. Is that correct?
Well, technically, no. We have the ability to back up everything you have. That would be a different discussion, though. It takes us back to an add-on type of potential charge, because if you're backing up more than Docstar, we need to understand how much stuff there is, and there may be a charge associated with that, over and above what we're talking here, if you're backing up more than the Docstar information.
What is the Docstar? Oh, it depends.
It depends. We'd have to know, if you gave us, gigabyte storage, whatever it is you need, we just put a number to that. It's not expensive, but it might be an add-on. Might not be, but it could be, I'd have to say that.
It seems like a very good, efficient system to go with. And I think in the future, like Becky Mason said, if we have to go in 2015, the medical records, everything has to be electronic. If we invest now in it, and in 2015, I think we still have to make a purchase. if that is a requirement, what she said in 2015.
The audit trail.
And I think it would also save all the medical file cabinets that she purchased. I mean, all these purchases could go towards this system.
Not just my file
Oh,
cabinets,
but ours,
Kathy's file
yeah,
cabinets, the
everywhere.
registry's file cabinets, I mean.
And corrections too.
Corrections?
I didn't have anyone come from there, but they also were very positive about this.
I mean, even if you're not talking a fireproof cabinet, you're talking $100 to $150 for file cabinets just to file the paper in that we have to have, so.
You know what happens too with fireproof? You got a sprinkler system,
Mm.
you got a fire, you're still gonna ruin the documents.
Right. There's no safe.
County attorney, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But, you know, at the jail, they were quite, you know, thought it'd be very helpful.
I think at our last IT meeting, what surprised some of the people here is how easy it is, because if you're not really computer literate, it's one or two words, and you can get almost anything you need as long as you've got permission. It's not, you have to be able to click here, click there, follow it here. It really is one of the better user-friendly systems I've seen.
Okay, so the IT committee supports this.
I do believe they do.
Yep, we had that meeting.
So what's the next step? Approval of the document?
That's fine with me. I don't know what your process is.
Budget?
Exactly.
Well, I'm not doing it today.
I'm not doing it today either, but I just
And I
asking
think we
what,
can find it within our budget.
within our budget.
Yeah,
Really?
Present
this
budget.
would be extra at this point.
Remember the savings that are gonna come with it?
Yeah.
An offset.
I mean, like
Because she won't
my
have to
fire
buy.
safes would come out of the budget if we go with this, so that would be paid towards this. I'm sure other people have file cabinets or paper goods that would be coming, that this would be absorbed from.
Okay. No other questions? No other comments? Well, thank you for
Thank you. Let me
your
also
presentation.
Thank you for your wonderful
Sounds good.
presentation.
call
Thank you,
me,
Jay.
email me, anything you guys have for
Thank you.
additional questions.
Yeah, thank you very
Please do.
much.
Thank you.
You guys all have my stuff already.
Okay.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
My pleasure.
I suppose there's no good time to start this up. It's.
Do you know when the best time is?
Right,
Honestly?
as soon as possible.
Right now.
Okay.
Not because I'm a sales guy, but because you start really realizing the benefits immediately. You know, why wait to save money? If you think it's a good idea, do it now. The nice thing is too, we take care of the implementation, all the training, all the setup. It's not incumbent on you guys. We make sure you know how to use it. Your guys will be very comfortable using this in no time.
I would say that anything over 5,000 we need to put out for bid. So we'll have to put that out for bid before we can decide which company to go with.
Okay.
That's why I asked you what your opposition
I would only
is.
go on the internet and you'll find 150 to 200, 300 places to look.
We're probably interested in somebody in New Hampshire. Still, is that many?
No, I don't think you'll find hardly any that will do what we do. You'll
Yeah.
find softwares, you'll find a vendor that may have 5 or 6 different types of software that you're probably gonna have to conform to. No one that I know of builds it like we do to what you tell us you need.
Okay.
We're very unique in that respect.
Yeah, I have a last question.
Sure.
How long do you have the system, or how long does it exist, this system, what you have?
What do you mean, how long does it
When
exist?
does
So
it
do you,
start?
yeah, is it like 10 years or?
Forever. As
No,
long-
no. How long
when,
have you
when
been in
did you
business?
start it?
Well, 17 years.
Oh, so it did start 17 years ago? Oh, okay.
We're now on build 3.12, from 0, basically. So there's been a lot of different revisions to this over the years. It's updated, you know, probably once or twice a year, there are new updates to it.
Okay.
So it's, you know, it's right at the date with technology.
A quick question. How long are the prices that you quoted us good for?
I believe you guys will be probably able to make a decision in the next month or two, so we'll hold them through the process. We'll hold them through the process.
Okay,
No problem.
good.
Great, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody, too, for your input. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good stuff.
What's that? There you go.
We have two short ones, Dave.
Okay. We'll go back into our work session with no further comments from the general public, but you're welcome to stay. Go ahead.
I guess I only have one more because we talked, two more. One, I'd like to get the board's permission to have John set us up each, or I would like one anyway, a personal email rather than the county, so we're not reading 500 emails to come to us and we can look up and get our own email. The other one
So then all these other comments, this other extra stuff wouldn't go anyplace unless they were addressed to you.
I guess so. I mean, my idea is if somebody wanted to write us, they'd use Commissioner Kenny's or yours
Yeah.
or mine, all three of us, if they wanted to send it to us, or if they just wanted to send it to one. But I don't need to see the emails from Jan Sullivan to somebody else about, yes, I've got your records ready, or something like that. And
Okay.
there's just hundreds on them that have nothing to do with us.
Okay.
And my other one was, I was talking to Jerry and about the energy reduction, cost of energy that
Yep.
has been saved here, which is pretty substantial. And he says there's still areas that need new sensors here, that I think we ought to have him come in and discuss and find out why.
Okay.
And he says we need a study on the boiler. The boiler is old and can be replaced with something far more efficient. And we ought to talk to him about those two items.
Okay. So it's additional savings on energy.
You know, he says there are still areas that need new sensors.
Okay. You want to talk with him and have him come in next week?
Yeah,
If he can do it between now and then?
sure.
And the boiler?
Or just tell us what he thinks we need to do.
Yep. Okay.
That's all I have.
We do have a report, and I think it's sitting on my desk, where the energy audit was done by that, I forget the name of the company, but,
Right.
and also we have,
Well, excuse me, Dave, I
O'Brien.
thought when we did the renovations here that we had taken care of most of or all of the suggestions that, you know, we
I'm
got
not sure we
timers
did all
on the
of them.
bathroom, we got sensors everywhere
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah.
I thought we had completed it, and I was kind of surprised to find out that we still
Yeah.
have more to go.
yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
sure
so-
we did everything. The major one was changing over all the lights
Right.
and the ballast, which saved us a lot of dollars.
Well, also the
Purchasing of
light
the energy.
switches that shut themselves off after
Yeah,
a certain
Yeah.
amount of time.
yeah, okay, we can do that. All right, you, since you brought it up, you check with
I'll
John
check.
regarding setting up different emails?
Yes.
And Jerry with the additional savings that he's talking about, and then the boiler, which boiler would probably have to have that maintenance, I can't think of their name either, but he can bring them in if he has to. Yeah, that boiler is old, and I think we replaced the motors on them, but that's about it.
Didn't you replace, while I've been in the legislature, I think we replaced one of the boilers here.
I don't think we replaced the boiler, but I think we replaced the motor,
Oh,
because it was making a racket.
we replaced something down there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and I think he's got in the budget to replace a motor too. I could be wrong. Okay, you have anything you want to
Yes.
bring up next week?
I believe, I thought
For
you
for
said-
anything to,
Oh, no, yeah. I believe there was a bill sent to the architect for the thermostat. I just want to know
Say that
if she
again?
paid it. The bill for the thermostat in the nursing home. The architect, somebody was going to send her the bill. Did we get
The
refunded
architect?
that?
Yes, for the thermostat in the new nursing home.
Oh, yes, that's
She
right,
was
she's
going to
correct.
pay
I
the
was
bill.
bugging them about it, they were gonna send it to the, or we were gonna eat it or something, the 5 thermostats that weren't in the
Oh.
right place, and
It was $900 or something like
yeah,
that?
and Commissioner Solomon said that it was going to be sent to the architect, I believe, and I think she wants to know whether it has
I
been.
just want
Okay,
to follow
then
up.
we need to have, Bob come in then. He was working on that. Bob Murray?
Yep.
And the other question is about the carpet. Is there any update? What we're going to do with the carpet? How we're moving forward? The carpet in the new nursing home.
We got a settlement on the carpet?
Oh, we did?
I don't, yeah.
So
I
when did
think
we
it
get
was.
that?
I think it was $8,000. Did you hear that?
Yes, it was 8,000.
$8,000?
Oh, so when did we get that?
Not very long ago.
Not too long ago, but it could have been the end of last year. It could have been a couple of months ago.
Oh, okay. And
I don't know where the funds went. I'm sure it went back into revenue for the nursing home.
And I see that some counties are publicizing the employees, the names, and the salary. I just want to know why Carroll County is not doing that. I see Rockingham is doing that every year.
Why
They put in the salaries and the names. A couple counties are doing that. I don't know. I didn't check every county because it's all public information and they publicize that in the paper.
Why would we want to do it?
Yeah, why would we want to do it?
Why
If somebody
would other
requested
counties
it, we
do
could
that?
do it, but
Okay, so only by request you can get that information. Is that correct?
yeah,
These are things that are publicized.
yeah.
Commissioner Kenny, it's public information, you're absolutely.
Yeah, I know. These things are public information, so you can publicize it too.
Would you mind if
I
I
just
finish
want to
my
bring out
statement?
that
Yeah,
other.
let him finish. He's asking a question for you. Go ahead.
Oh,
You're absolutely correct, it's public information, but why would we want to put it out there just for people to see, just to cause more contentious surroundings for people? You know, oh, she's making such and such, he's making such and such. I don't see anything gained by publishing it. If they want to call up and find out, give them the information.
I think it is more transparent, and other counties are doing it too. So I don't know
We
why
don't-
other counties are
okay.
doing that.
Okay. Anything else?
No, not for now.
Okay, then next week we'll also work on the handbook some more.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
I believe that Jason Johnson is coming into
That's right.
non-public.
Yep. Okay. Okay, I guess we went through public input, but if you got any last-minute items that you want to talk about in public input, go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Mrs. Seamans made a statement a few minutes ago that she and any number of other people in the county were in the records room and climbing over boxes and going through records. Could you explain to me why someone from the public would be allowed to climb over boxes and go through records of the county?
And right
This is
there.
the first I heard of it. Would you want to explain that?
I
Melissa?
set up a time when I could come in, just like anybody can, and the conference room was available to have space to look at the things that I wanted to look at. Some of that information was in the records room, so I assisted, Kathy brought stuff from downstairs up. I assisted by holding some of that stuff so she could go in and climb over stuff and pull out file cabinets and find the rest of what she was looking for me. And then she brought me to that room. So I wasn't pawing through anything, she was.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Because there was no room to do it downstairs in that little break room because the treasurer was here. So I couldn't use that table, and so they just set me up in there.
Okay. Anybody else? Public
Yes, I
input?
have one last little thing there. We're talking about records. A couple weeks ago, I get from Commissioner Sorensen
he went in his desk and he found one record and he said, you have another one to hold. That was from 2007. It was non-public minutes, and it said it is recorded by Melissa Seaman. I just want to know, why do you have a right to record it coming into non-public session and record those minutes?
What year was it?
We did that before.
2007.
I wasn't a reporter at the time I was working. I did some time briefly while the commissioners were in between recording secretaries. I volunteered as a citizen to take the minutes.
This is non-public session.
Public or non-public?
It didn't matter.
Didn't
then.
matter? Okay.
The record what you gave me is non-public session.
Okay.
Said 2007.
All right.
They did it differently then.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So did I hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, a citizen can just come to volunteer and do the non-public session, so it is out there in the public, the non-public session, the information?
No, wait a minute. Wait
And
a
I
minute.
said
Because she said a citizen can just come to volunteer non-public sessions. So are we
volunteer is not
going?
the right word. I
But
offered
that is
to
what
do
you
it,
said.
and I was paid to do it. You often refer to me as an employee of the county, a
So
former employee.
you-
That was my stint.
So you came to volunteer, but you get paid for it, for the non-public session.
She
Thank
offered to
you.
do it,
I
and we paid her
offered.
for
I used
doing
the
it.
wrong word. I said that.
This is before you became a reporter, right?
I was,
No, she
No?
was a reporter at the time too.
yeah, I was doing spot news at the time, like occasional stories. I wasn't full-time in the paper during that period.
Okay.
I was taking minutes in the commission for about a month.
Do I hear a
May I
motion?
ask a question?
About a
While
month.
we're all so concerned about non-public
It
minutes,
wasn't long.
where are they kept?
The non-public minutes are kept in a locked drawer cabinet.
Where?
In the
Back-
office, in the commissioner's
Back
office.
at her desk. The one that was supposedly broken into at one time?
No, this is another one,
Oh, this is another one.
yeah.
And who has the keys to that?
Because I'm the record keeper.
So what happens if a commissioner needs to get in there to look something up in a non-public meeting?
You ask me and then I will get it for you if you need to look something up.
Okay?
Is there-
Because you see the minutes all the time, you read them, you approve them. So if you want to look back to something, like Commissioner Sorensen said, he went from last year, the November, and I give him the November 2nd. He wants to show somebody the November 2nd, and they were not released. And
What would
he
hap-
wants to have from the whole year, and he got it.
What would happen if something happened to you? How, I guess we can cut the lock, right?
Yeah, then you can cut the lock, yeah.
So if I wanted to come in like I do sometimes at 7:30 in the morning to do work, I could call you up and you'd come up and let me into the cabinet so I could read the non-public minutes?
So what non-public minutes do you want to read?
I don't know,
You-
if something came
We're
up, I'm
doing
just asking you.
non-publics.
Is that how we get a hold of you? We call you up
If
when
there
we're here
is-
and you come up and let us in?
If you need it, you cannot call me every day to come here to read non-public minutes. I mean, if it is necessary, if there is maybe investigation going on, or this is a certain particular issue where you want to go back, and then I will be here. We have Wednesday the meeting, so I'll be here and we can look it up on Wednesday.
Okay, well, that's fine.
She is responsible for those.
Oh, I understand, I
My
thought
question, my concern would be,
if something happened to her.
if something happened to her, how would we get in there if we had to get in there? There's no second person who has the key to get in because she's solely responsible for it. Okay.
And if the commissioners want to have that minute taker take the minutes, if she wants to stay doing non-public, that's fine. I have no problem with that. Because she said she can do it, that's totally fine with me. I have no problem with it because I was going to ask her in case if I'm absent that she can take the non-public minutes. And I think that is the only thing that she's going to do is minutes. So she can have it probably fast for us. She probably can have it every week for us. I have no problem doing that.
So-
The only thing, I was doing it for free for years. I purchased new equipment. And the only thing is we're going to pay more money because she's going to sit here and doing the minutes and transcribe it. And that is perfectly fine if the commissioners want to spend more money on minute takers.
Okay.
So Nancy,
you-
you can
so-
do the minutes, the non-public
Maybe we
minutes
could get
from
them
now.
done.
That is perfectly fine. You know, we had We had several issues going on with employee resigning. We had strict non-public information going on, but it is fine if we have somebody is taking it. So you should be careful. We have some issues going on, what are very serious, but that is fine. If you want that other than a commissioner, the employee is taking the minutes, I have no problem.
But you seem to agree with it?
You said you two both want that she
No,
do the
I'm
minutes.
asking you if you agree with it?
It is fine with me.
Okay.
That she can take the non-public minutes, it's fine, because I still hold the record. We're still approving it, and I hold the record, but it's only sometimes she had to stay maybe longer. We do it late in the afternoon, early afternoon, so she would stay all these times here, and we have to pay her doing the non-public minutes. Sitting
Okay, is that
here and
something you want to
probably
think about?
describing it. So
Okay.
it is fine, she can do it.
We'll think about it. And put it off right now. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I just have one final question. Remind me how much the commissioners get paid annually for being...
$10,500.
Not enough.
Thank you.
If you look up the statute, it said the commissioners are being compensated.
So
That is
so
what
you're
it
not
said.
working for free, technically.
No.
Well, I have to say, Mrs. Seamans, non-commissioner ever did the non-public minutes. I did it myself. And I mean, minute takers are getting paid to do that. You see, I did this for years, and I purchased new equipment. I purchased, especially, I do it separate. I have a new computer, but everything is separate, what I'm doing the minutes on. And I didn't bill for ink, for nothing, for printer, for anything.
You know, our salaries are set by the delegation
When does that
prior
happen?
to the election, so
About
that,
2 months before,
yeah.
2 months before the end of the biennium,
Okay,
and before you get into sign-up period for
Yeah.
okay.
primaries.
It's in the summer, right?
No, it's
Late
around
summer.
April and May that we do it, so that when you get ready to think about running, you know what you're gonna get
It
paid.
breaks down to about $5 an hour.
For some. Thank you.
Okay.
And I would like to say that I'd be happy to take the minutes if Asha isn't here, but I'm not interested in, extending my money that I'm getting from the county. That is
Okay.
not my purpose.
Okay, we understand that.
Yeah, we understand that.
You're doing
I
a good
mean,
job.
it is not-
Doing an excellent
Your,
job.
your minutes are very accurate, your minutes are very good.
Thank you.
It's just
There a
you
motion
can
to
do the
adjourn?
minutes.
Make a motion?
Well,
No,
wait a
you
minute.
can't. You
No.
can't.
We have
go
non-public
into
session
non-public.
for Jason Johnson. What was his, is it personal?
For personnel. Um,
And we're supposed to call him.
Yep.
So do you make,
So,
12?
somebody make a motion that we go into non-public session for personal reasons, I guess,
For
at the
jail?
jail.
Jason,
Personnel reasons.
So move. Is there a
Roll call?
second?
Yeah, second.
Second?
Roll call, Ben?
Commissioner Babson?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenney? Yes.
Then so voted.
12:29.
Thank you for coming.